enough of the talking, let's get right into the setup. We're going to go over to the TrueNAS website and get our installer first. So come over to TrueNAS.com, and TrueNAS is very popular. As you can see, there's a lot of different companies that use it, and I know that Linus references it a lot, and I believe that's what they actually use at their headquarters and everything else. You can see they have some products if you actually want to get some devices for them, but what we're going to do is we're going to come over to get TrueNAS, and then we're going to come over to download TrueNAS Community Edition. Over here is going to be where you can download the Community Edition, so I'm just going to click download. They're going to ask you if you want to sign in. I already have, so I'm just going to click no thank you. And then it's going to give me the download stable. Over here is where you can download the ISO image, or if you want, I can copy it. And since I am working in Proxmox, I can come over to my drive and I can download from URL right here. I already did, so I'm not going to, but just another option instead of moving the ISO around so many times. If you're interested, there's some info like documentation and some other information on here, but what's going to be really important is over here is the TrueNAS scale minimum requirements. TrueNAS scale is the flavor that we're working with. That's their community edition. And you can see over here, it has a dual core 64-bit CPU, 8 gigs of RAM, 16 gigs recommended, a 16 gig SSD for boot device, and then 2 identically sized devices, a network port, and the hardware RAID's not required. There's more requirements if you want to read into it. I will say that you're definitely going to need at least 8 gigs of RAM. This OS does use a lot more memory, especially with all the processes going on. So just keep that in mind when you're speccing out your hardware or your VM to run it or whatever you might be doing. Just keep these requirements in mind. Like I said, I already have my ISO, so I'm going to come over here to create VM. And this is going to be where if you're going to be setting up on physical hardware, you can skip ahead to the actual install. But I'm just going to set this up in Proxmox really quick. So I'm just going to do TrueNAS. I'm going to click next. I'm going to select my ISO. I'm going to click next again one more time. And now over here is where we're going to have the hard drives. So I know that they said we need a 16 gig, so I'll just leave it at 32. That's fine. And in here I could actually add in my hard drives that I'm going to use for my data storage. So I can click add. You can see it added SCSI1, and over here is where I can add in a hard drive for it to use for the actual data pool. I'm just going to do 75 gigs because it's just a test machine. I'm going to click next. I'm going to give it 2 cores, and then over here it does say it wants a minimum of 8 gigs, so I'll give it 8092. And then if I click advanced over here, I could actually enable ballooning, and I was going to give it 512 as a minimum. I'm going to click next. Networking looks fine. Everything looks good, so I'm going to click finish. And then over here you can see that it's building up the VM. So now I'm all good. I can open a console to it and click start now.